Studies show that lottery winners and people who suffered devastating financial loss return to roughly the same level of happiness within 2 years. Yet most people spend their entire lives making financial decisions as if more money will finally fix everything. That single disconnect between what we believe about money and how money actually works is responsible for more financial ruin than bad investments, recessions, or economic downturns combined. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover why the smartest people in the room consistently make the worst financial decisions, what Morgan Housel's landmark book The Psychology of Money reveals about human behavior, and the one counterintuitive truth about wealth that almost nobody is willing to accept. If you have ever wondered why you keep making the same money mistakes no matter how much you learn, stay with this, because the answer is not what you think. Morgan Housel spent years as a financial columnist watching brilliant economists, seasoned investors, and highly educated professionals make catastrophically bad decisions with money. Not because they lacked information. Not because the markets were unpredictable. But because they were applying logical, rational frameworks to something that is fundamentally emotional and deeply human. His conclusion, which became the foundation of The Psychology of Money published in 2020, is straightforward but radical. Doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and almost everything to do with how you behave. This idea runs completely against how most financial education works. We teach people spreadsheets. We teach asset allocation, compound interest, tax optimization. And those things matter. But Housel argues they are secondary to something far more powerful, your relationship with money, shaped by experiences you probably had before you were 20 years old. Consider this. Two people can look at the exact same stock market data and reach opposite conclusions, both completely rational given their personal history. Someone who grew up during the Great Depression developed a relationship with financial risk that someone born in the 1990s simply cannot replicate through reading. Housel calls this the personal history bias, and it explains why financial advice that works perfectly for one person can be genuinely destructive for another. This is not a minor nuance. It is the entire game. And yet most financial content treats money as a universal math problem with one correct answer. Here is what nobody talks about when discussing wealth. The definition of rich and the definition of wealthy are not the same thing, and confusing them is one of the most expensive mistakes a person can make. Rich is visible. Rich is income, lifestyle, the car in the driveway and the watch on the wrist. Wealthy is invisible. Wealthy is the money not spent, the options kept open, the financial security that never needs to be displayed because it does not require anyone else's validation. Housel points out that the flashy displays of wealth we admire are often evidence of spending, not saving. The truly wealthy person is almost always the one you would never guess is wealthy at all. Ronald Redd was a janitor and gas station attendant in Vermont. He wore safety pins to hold his coat together. He drove a used car. When he died in 2014 at age 92, he left an $8 million estate to his local hospital and library. He had never earned a high salary. He simply saved consistently and invested in blue-chip stocks for decades. Meanwhile, Richard Foscone was a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive who declared bankruptcy around the same time because his lifestyle spending outpaced even his enormous income. Same financial era. Opposite outcomes. The difference was behavior, not intelligence. This brings us to what Housel identifies as the single most underrated force in personal finance. It is not return on investment. It is not finding undervalued assets. It is time. Specifically, it is the willingness to remain invested long enough for compounding to work in ways that feel almost supernatural. Warren Buffett's net worth is approximately $80 billion. What most people do not realize is that 97% of that wealth was accumulated after his 50th birthday. He started investing seriously at around 10 years old. By the time he was 30, he had roughly $1 million. By 50, he had roughly $300 million. The leap from $300 million to $80 billion happened because he did not stop. He did not take chips off the table. He simply kept going. The secret to Buffett's wealth is not his investment strategy in isolation. It is that he has been executing a good investment strategy for an extraordinarily long time. Most people never give their money enough time because they make emotionally driven decisions at exactly the wrong moments. Here is a statistic that should change how you think about market volatility forever. From 1928 to 2020, the S&P 500 experienced a drop of at least 10% roughly every 11 months on average. Yet the market's long-term trajectory has been consistently upward. The investors who got wealthy were not the ones who predicted downturns. They were the ones who treated volatility as the price of admission rather than a signal to exit. Housel frames this beautifully. Market downturns are not a fine you pay for investing. They are the fee you pay to access long-term returns. The moment you reframe volatility as a cost rather than a punishment, your entire relationship with investing changes. But here is what nobody talks about regarding financial risk. Most people dramatically miscalculate their own risk tolerance, not when markets are calm, but when they are actually falling. Investors consistently overestimate how much pain they can handle when everything is theoretical and underestimate it when their portfolio is actually dropping in real time. The solution Housel proposes is not better risk assessment tools. It is building a financial plan you can stick to even when your emotions are screaming at you to abandon it. A mediocre plan executed consistently destroys a perfect plan abandoned in a panic every single time. Now let us talk about something that connects all of this together, the role of narrative in financial decision-making. Human beings are not logic processors. We are story processors. We do not make decisions based on data and then find reasons. We find reasons to justify decisions we have already made emotionally. This is why financial media is so dangerous. It provides compelling stories, explanations for why the market moved, confident predictions about where it is going, and our brains treat those stories as more reliable than base rate statistics, even when the statistics are far more predictive. Housel dedicates an entire chapter to what he calls the seduction of pessimism. Pessimistic financial commentary sounds smart and sophisticated. It signals awareness of risk. Optimistic commentary sounds naive, almost reckless. But historically, optimism about long-term economic growth has been the correct bet almost every single time. Not because bad things do not happen. They absolutely do. But because human beings are relentlessly innovative, and economies have a proven long-term tendency to grow despite every setback. The practical implication of everything Housel covers is this. Stop trying to optimize your financial strategy and start trying to optimize your financial behavior. Specifically, for behaviors that compound over time regardless of market conditions. Spend less than you earn, not occasionally but as a permanent lifestyle commitment. Save the difference automatically so willpower is never required. Invest in broadly diversified assets and do not touch them. And extend your time horizon further than feels comfortable, because compounding rewards patience in ways that feel almost absurd until you actually experience them. The deepest insight in the psychology of money is perhaps the simplest. Enough is a number that most people never define for themselves, which means they are running a race with no finish line. The wealthy people who end up miserable, and there are many, are almost always people who redefined enough upward every time they achieved the previous goal. The people who end up both financially secure and genuinely satisfied are almost always people who identified what enough looks like for them and stopped treating money as an end in itself and started treating it as a tool for building the life they actually want. Money buys freedom. Freedom buys time. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Book Notes Daily for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.